Welcome to the Untold Civil War. And right here in Virginia, finally made it, thanks to all my sponsors and Patreon patrons for getting me here. I've finally been able to take the show on the road. The weather has not been cooperating. It has been snowing. I cannot believe I drove all the way from New York City to shovel snow off of my car in Virginia. But these are the things that you have to go through when you want to discover Untold Civil War and bring that to you guys. So, you know, anything for fans of the show. I really appreciate all the support, guys. But even though it's snowing outside, I can produce content. So what I'm going to do here for you quickly is share some of my Untold Civil War curiosities. Okay, so if you already know, we have a website now. And on that website is the Untold Civil War Curiosities page, which is basically our shop. On there, you'll be able to buy merchandise and also authentic relics of the Civil War, and all of that money goes to support the show. One of the things, or some of the things that we are selling, besides hand-painted tin cups from the badge maker, excellent for your Civil War whiskey tasting. They are decorative pieces, by the way, but they make for a great backdrop. Or a decoration for your bar at home. It's a must-have. We also have stickers if you want to decorate your laptop, as I have done, or decorate your folder, your college folder or binder. You know, it's a great thing to do. But we also sell actual artifacts, and I've got some CDVs and ambrotypes I'd like to share with you, which are going to go up on the website. And you might take an interest in them. If you are not going to purchase any of them, at least they'll be up on the website. Check them out, because it's sort of like a virtual museum, a virtual collection that you can use for your own research when looking at these images. And first up, we have a hospital steward, a Union hospital steward. These guys were great. They were the head nurses of their day. And I think they're awesome because they have the best insignia on their uniforms, and they also get to wear this really cool sash, and you can see that clearly in this image, which was actually taken by Alexander Gardner. At least that's what the back mark shows, Alexander Gardner. So we all know that that was a famous photographer. Really cool image for anyone who's interested in Civil War medicine, right? Because these guys were in the thick of it, helping out the surgeons and giving directions to the nurses and the nuns that volunteered, which I just made a post about, by the way. We also have an artilleryman. And I really, really like this image. This is the newest one to our collection here, because not only is he wearing that artilleryman's jacket, coat, with those famous shoulder scales that the artillery was known for. Also, the U.S. Army regulars wore those same shoulder scales. They're not a little different from epaulets, but artillery was generally run by, according to the manuals, right, a 10-man gun team. Okay, 10 cannoneers, if you will. They were all numbered, save for the gunner, and he was the number 3 man. And how do we know that? Well, the number 3 man's job was to, when loading the cannon, he would stand and cover the vent with his thumb or finger, okay, to prevent air igniting any fumes that would be inside the barrel when they're trying to swab the barrel. Because if that happened, you could cause maybe an accidental discharge or an explosion. It was very risky business, so this was a very important job, and we saw the issues of that, the aftermath of that, when at Fort Sumter, when the only casualties, Union casualties of the battle, occurred after the battle was fought, after the surrender of the fort, when Major Anderson wanted to fire a salute to the flag before leaving, before vacating his post, and one of the cannons exploded, killing a couple cannoneers. So that's a prime example you have right there of the safety measures that these guys had to go through. Now, how do we know he was the number 3 man and that was his role? Well, the manual states that's the role of the number 3 man, but he is wearing on his hand a finger stall. Okay, so they usually had a finger stall or a thumb stall, which was a piece of leather that you put on your thumb or finger that you would cover that hole with on the barrel. And because the barrel was hot, you had to have some sort of protection. And it looks to me that he is wearing that on his finger. So if you are a lover of artillery history and artillery cannons and you love all that good stuff, definitely take a look at this image. This might need to be in your collection because I've never seen that before. Obviously, he was very proud of his position on the gun and he wanted to show that to us, and that's why he's wearing a piece of his equipment in this image. I have known infantrymen who take pictures with their rifles, cavalrymen with their sabers, officers with their revolvers. But an artilleryman with a finger stall, that one's new to me. So if you've seen this before, please let me know. Finally, we actually have the New York engineer. I've featured him before in a video in our Civil War whiskey tasting. If you didn't see that, I'll let you know that this is a Mr. Benedict, Private Benedict, I believe, according to his uniform. I don't see any rank on there. But he served in the 1st New York Engineers, which is really cool because we usually think of engineers as only serving in the U.S. regulars. But I believe their commander was Mr. Colonel Serrell, I believe, and he realized that engineers would be instrumental to the Union war effort, and he decided to raise a regiment of engineers that would be paid the higher wages of engineers, and I believe he tried to recruit men who knew something about construction. Plenty of jobs like that in the civilian sector. And he was going to use them to help build fortifications, build pontoons, build roads, clear roads. So very valuable work, these engineers. Of course, the U.S. Army wasn't too keen on paying a bunch of volunteers that extra pay, but they earned it, and they would eventually earn that extra pay as well. So these guys were, they fought through the war. They were up there building those entrenchments during the Overland Campaign. Benedict, we know that he served from October 3rd, 61, and mustered out 10th of October, 64 in New York City, so he survived the war. So this is a named image, ID'd image, if you will. So this one actually was on the website as just sold to a good friend of the show, so thank you for making that purchase. Like I said, the money all goes back to the show, so really great image going to a new happy owner. And I know the owner, he's a big fan of engineers, so I'm sure he's going to love this piece. Now, these always cost a little bit more. These are the Ambro types, okay? But we love them as collectors because we know when you're holding one of these, this was the image, the one and only, that the person in the image received. When he got his image taken, this is what he received, okay? And later on, if he wanted CDVs made, he could, but this is what he got. And if you were the lover that received this image, you know you had the original, the one. So when we hold it, we really do treasure it. The case has seen better days. However, the image is absolutely intact. It is of a 6-corps soldier, and I just love how he looks. He looks like somebody I'd have a beer with, He looks like a really cool guy. He's got his 6-corps corps badge on there, so we know he's from the 6th Corps. They saw a lot of heavy fighting during the Overland Campaign at Spotsylvania, took heavy casualties. I don't know, this is not an ID'd image, so I don't know if he was at Spotsylvania, but I do know that he was a veteran because he does have veteran stripes on his sleeves. A lot of times people will see those images and think, oh, that makes him a private first class or something, or corporal or something. No, those stripes are service stripes. Or some people even mistaken it for maybe a hospital steward. Again, they had their own really cool insignia. These are service stripes. And you can see the 6th Corps badge on there. What I like is if you zoom in, and hopefully you can see it, I'll post a picture up. You can see the watch chain, pocket watch chain, and the pocket watch key, winding key on there, which I think is a nice personal touch. And speaking of Corps badges, if you want to take your impression up a notch, if you are representing a 6th Corps soldier, you have to have a made in America 6th Corps badge reproduction made by the badge maker, sponsor of our show. I'm going to leave a link in the description for his wares because that is the best place to go to get anything to take that impression up a notch, to make you truly look authentic and outdo your pards at the next reenacting event. It's getting to that time of year when we're going to be going to all those battles out there and all those historic events. So you better get ready, okay? Because guess what? The other guy is. So definitely check him out. And finally, this is really cool because the case is actually intact. And in here we have an early war Union soldier. I don't know if you can see that, but I will post an image. You can tell he's an early war soldier because he's wearing that famous Hardy hat, or the Jeff Davis hat. This hat was basically the regulation hat for the Federal Army. Okay, and so it was very popularly worn, I should say, by U.S. Army regulars. Okay, it was worn by a lot of Wisconsin outfits, Indiana, New Hampshire. It was famous for the Iron Brigade, wore the famous Hardy hat. As you can see on the Hardy hat, you can actually see it's pinned up on the side. It has a wonderful plume in there. And we can tell he's in the infantry because he has a bugle there, and he also has the number designation of 3. So I don't know if he is from the 3rd U.S. Regulars. I don't know if he is from the 3rd New Hampshire, 3rd Wisconsin, 3rd Indiana, one of these regiments out there, or one of these states that wore the Hardy hat predominantly. He does have the letter K as well, so that does identify him from the 3rd Regiment, Company K. So that's pretty cool. If he is a regular, the 3rd Regiment, U.S. Infantry Company K is actually a reenacting group, and I had them on to talk about the U.S. Regulars. Very interesting stuff. The U.S. Regulars actually formed square at Manassas, not far from where I'm sitting, and helped protect the retreat, or the rear guard, if you will, of the Union Army during that retreat. And they actually inspired Sherman's brigade to form square as well. And that would have been the 69th and the 79th. Also Wisconsin soldiers with them. Form square and prevent the cavalry from breaking through and completely routing the army. Of course, the famous black hats. Everyone's seen the movie Gettysburg, and they talk about those black hats. Those are the Hardy hat. It is interesting to see that a hat that is predominantly known for being used by hard-charging U.S. regulars and the hard-charging Iron Brigade was actually named after 2 famous Confederates, one being Hardy and the other, of course, being Jeff Davis. If you want to learn more about the regulars, I'm going to have that episode up very soon, so stay tuned on that. I'll put a link to the podcast side of things because, as you know, there's video content here, but there's also totally separate audio content on there as well. Longer interviews on there, so please, if you're watching one platform and not the other, you're missing out. You're only getting 50% of the Untold Civil War history. If you want to learn more about these images and you don't have the money to purchase them from my website, I totally get that, but then check out our sponsor, Military Images Magazine. They're the only magazine that I know of that is dedicated to Civil War portrait photography. And so this is a great way to subscribe to the magazine and learn about these images. And maybe you don't have an original, but with the magazine, you will get access to these images because they print a bunch of these images which are being shared by collectors from around the world. So it's a great asset to have because looking at these images really does help you understand who these men were, men and women who fought in the Civil War, because you see the personalization, you can see their face, you can see how they wore their uniforms, how they looked, and that's something that a textbook can't bring to you. So check them out. And of course, if you want to know where these men marched, where they waded rivers, where they charged and fought each other, where they took their last breaths, some of these men and women, you have to check out Civil War Trails, as they are the ones who are out there marking all those untold Civil War sites. I'm here in Virginia, and I'm going to be going on the trail, as they say, and checking that out. And if you want to go on your own Untold Civil War adventure, you're going to want to check out our sponsor, Civil War Trails, as well. Links to all my sponsors will be in the description below. Thank you all for listening, and I appreciate your time. So please be safe, and I'll catch you on the next one.